Hello, JPU family. Welcome to another episode of Jamaica Politics Uncovered. My patriotic Jamaicans, whether you're JLP, PNP, or no P, welcome back. Now, guys, I've seen a few people ask on the channel, in the comments, and in WhatsApp, what is it about Peter Bunting? Why, with all the money that he has and how he spoke about paying PNP's light bill and all these things, why is it that he tried for the leadership and didn't get it and then got voted out? Well, the truth of the matter is the PNP never trusted Bunting from day one. And I think at the end of the day, looking at where we are now politically and where the PNP is politically, I think their gut instinct was right all along that they should not have trusted this guy. Okay? So let's get into it. How did Peter Bunting get into representational politics? Bunting entered Parliament after winning the southeastern Clarendon seat for the People's National Party in the 1993 general election. He was not named to the cabinet as he expected and chose not to continue in representational politics. That is quite unusual, to become a member of parliament and winning a seat and you don't get named to the cabinet. So he had little political capital when he returned to representational politics in 2007. So he stayed away from politics for some time. So in 2007, he came back, contested the Central Manchester seat, and it was the support of outgoing Member of Parliament at the time, John Jr., and people like K.D. Knight, who helped him and assured his success. 1 year later, in 2008, when he sought the position of General Secretary, he was supported by Dr. Peter Phillips. Can you believe that? That was the critical factor in his victory. Not surprisingly, in 2017, when Bunting offered himself as a candidate for the presidency of the PNP after the party lost the 2016 general election and Portia was on her way out. Without the support of any of the established party leaders, he dropped out of the race before the election. 2 years later, in 2019, Bunting re-emerged to challenge Dr. Phillips, the sitting president, for the leadership of the party. This was 1 year before the general election. Now let us take a pause here. At the time when he won the Clarendon seat in 1993, the Prime Minister at the time was P.J. Patterson. And P.J. Patterson did not see it fit to appoint him to his cabinet. Bunting was 33 years old at the time. So when he told Dr. Phillips he was going to challenge him, he came with this big, elaborate public relations machinery, which replicated that of Prime Minister Andrew Holness and the Jamaica Labour Party. That's when he had the Rise United movement bloggers on social media. They're all over the place, kicking out PNP people from, Facebook groups, turning on the party, turning on Dr. Phillips, arguing with labor rights, and it was a colossal mess. There was no way that Bunting could have salvaged anything resembling unity to help put the PNP back together in time to face a general election. I'm saying even if that was his intention, because clearly he instructed the bloggers and the supporters of Rise United to continue in campaign mode even after he lost, to keep turning on the party, keep turning on the leader, keep turning on every single person who supports the People's National Party that is not a member of the Rise United movement. That was what he instructed them to do, and that's what he did. And that is why right now, Mark Golding, being a part of that Rise United movement, cannot get the full support or even half the support that PNP leaders would have, in the party. So, what Bunting did, the damage is so great that, it's immeasurable. At this point, irreversible. And that's why I told you guys on that live broadcast that, the PNP will never be the same until Peter Bunting either leave politics and become demented as a result of age or he dies. Again, I'm not wishing that on him. I'm just saying the reality of it is because of the bed that he made, that is what has to happen for the PNP to become whole and flourish as a viable party again because of the damage Bunting did and because if he's not leading it and not a part of it, he has the mentality of let's damage it then. So his campaign lasted a maximum of 3 months, from June to September. The most debilitating thing to the PNP and a major advantage for the JLP was the anti-Phillips campaign waged from inside the party by the Bunting camp. It was unbelievable. It was 3 months of it. And the worst of it came when they lost. Oh my gosh. If Bunting had run a clean campaign and advised his supporters and followers to make sure that they're running a decent campaign because everybody has to come back together. After the campaign was over, because some people say, the challenge kind of get the BS energized a little bit. I don't really see it that way. That cannot be a good thing for the sitting president, no matter who he or she is. 1 year before an election, you're preparing yourself. You're mentally preparing, physically preparing to face a general election. So I think that there are other ways that, they could have energized the base. And this challenge thing, all it does is cause the leader and leadership anxiety, cause disunity. Anyway, if Bunting did run a clean campaign and the party did come back together as one, and those energies come together and go out there and campaign, I think the PNP could have easily won the election, the general election of 2020. They really could have. Because as I've said here before, the first term of Andrew Holness wasn't great. His second term, he has done better because I think he's grown in his job and his role, learned some things along the way, and he's doing better. But for the first term, if Bunting never come with this smear campaign, this vile, vicious campaign, I don't know where this man comes from with this style of politics and campaigning. Bunting really proved himself as somebody who cannot be trusted and should not be trusted during the few years leading up to the challenge. Let us recall, as Shadow Minister for the Portfolio of Industry, Investment and Competitiveness, Bunting had been so quiet. He had nothing to say, no contribution to make. One would have expected him to be far more assertive in promoting the PNP's policy of expanding ownership and entrepreneurship, at the base of society. That's what he's talking about now, about business, right? Well, he didn't do that. Instead, he only spoke opportunistically on the subjects outside of his portfolio that brought him publicity. During the by-election of East Portland, don't forget that, while the PNP and their supporters and members were on the ground trying to make a positive contribution to the campaign, Bunting and his little team, they made their way to East Portland. Rather than campaigning for the candidate and the party, they were handing out T-shirts and his publicity materials. Bunting's platform, Rise United, they boast of his financial contributions to the party, confirming his ignorance of the traditions of the party that he wants to lead. Norman Manley set the example of sacrifice for the party and had his house auctioned in the process. So the PNP people them from all walks of life had made that sacrifice for the party over the decades, right? A tradition in which, comrades take pride. Bunting is the first person to make political capital from his contribution. Bunting did not hide the fact that he had scant regard and respect for the established protocol of his party, which gave every elected president of the party the opportunity to lead the party into a general election. He had also made clear his indifference to the damage that a drawn out leadership challenge would bring to the party. He wanted to campaign for 3 months. The Prime Minister could have called an early or snap election at any point in time during that time. Bunting did not care. Most importantly, he did not care that the Jamaican electorate has never and will never vote for a divided party. This indifference to the traditions and interests of the party could have consequences, serious consequences, which we're seeing now. So you see, guys, he was never trusted from the very beginning. And you know the biggest mistake that the PNP made? When Bunting left because he did not get to be in the cabinet, that should have been a red flag to show them that this man doesn't come to serve the people as a representative and as a member of parliament. He wanted to be in the cabinet, and God knows what else he wanted at that time. But when he refused to serve those who elected him because of not being in the cabinet, that should have been the red flag. But the PNP had no discipline. So what happened? Bunting come back and they opened their arms and take back the man that they did not trust from the beginning. Look what he did. This, guys, pretty much cements what we know to be true. When our gut instinct tells us that we should not trust somebody or don't do something, we need to follow our gut because it is our guide. Now, you all know that after all of that, he lost the challenge, lost his seat as well. But he's not done. He wants another seat. He wants to go back to Parliament. Maybe even want to lead the PNP again as the president. And by extension, become Prime Minister. We will see if he will go the length again like before, or did he learn anything? Will he do to Mark Golding what he did to Dr. Phillips? Will he proceed with his by any means necessary kind of attitude? We will see. Guys, you are listening to Jamaica Politics Uncovered. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you have your notification on. And you are keeping it locked here for all your political news, reviews, and updates. Like, share, and leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Make sure you tell a friend about this channel. Invite them over. It doesn't matter if they're PNP, JLP, or no P. Patriotic Jamaicans are welcome here. Thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you later.